Right then, pull up a chair, a stool or whatever you have. The sun is nearly over the yard arm, which means it is time for a cold one and a bit of a natter. Here is the towel you never asked for, but you're getting it now. A grumpy old git's guide to Thai politics and expat life. You know, they sell you a dream, do they not? Endless sunshine, smiles for £1, and a quiet life sipping something cold on a pension that would not cover a shedding slough. What's more, for the most part, it is true. Until it is not. Until you are sitting in a plastic chair at an immigration office that smells of stale sweat and faint desperation, watching a ceiling fan do a lazy, ineffective lap of the room, and you realise your entire existence here hinges on a stamp in a passport. A stamp that can change because some chap in Bangkok you have never met had a falling out with another chap in Bangkok you have never met. That, my friends, is the moment you understand Thai politics. It is not something you read about in the Bangkok Post over muesli. It is the price of your Leo beer. It is the new road that is built, or more likely the pothole that does not get filled in. It is the reason the charming, slightly chaotic immigration officer who used to wave you through now scrutinises your bank statement like Sherlock Holmes on the trial of Moriarty, who has embezzled 800,000 baht. Now, to understand this, you have to grasp the basics. Therefore, I will be brief, because frankly, it is more convoluted than a Dickens novel edited by a committee. At the top, you have the monarchy, revered, respected, the bedrock of the nation. Then you have the everything else. For decades, it was a tidy dance between the old guard, the military, the establishment, and various elected governments who often got rather too popular for their own good and were promptly shown the door, sometimes with tanks as ushers. Then came the last election, a real shake-up. The young folks, the progressives, they made a splash. The Move Forward Party talking about things that had not been talked about in polite company for a very long time. They won the popular vote, however, and it is a very big however indeed, this is Thailand. The system has levers. Therefore, after a lot of backroom haggling that would make a Tudor court blush, a different coalition took the reins. The old guard is still very much in the room. Nevertheless, the cat is out of the bag. The country is having a conversation with itself, and you, sitting in your Isaan village or a condominium in Bangkok or Pattaya or wherever in Thailand, are an unwitting audience member. So, how does this high-stakes drama in the big city affect you? Let me count the ways. First, and most personally, the visas are the retirement visa. My particular cross to bear when not on a marriage visa. You used to show your funds, get your stamp and toddle off to the pub. Now it is a saga. They talk about health insurance requirements, they scrutinise your income, they want to know where the money comes from. Why? Because the government is perpetually worried about two things. Foreigners becoming a burden on the state and foreigners, owning things they should not. It is all tied to economic policy. The country needs money, but it wants the right kind of money. They will roll out the red carpet for the digital nomad with his or her laptop and their cryptocurrency, offering a new long-term visa to lure them here. However, for the old codgers like me, living on a fixed income, the walls can feel like they're closing in. Here's a simple equation. Political instability makes the authorities nervous, and when they are nervous, they tighten controls. Visa processing goes from a few weeks to a few months. Smiles become rarer than the sensible town planning decision. Which brings me to the second point, the cost of living. You think your 40 baht bowl of khao soi is immune from the machineries in Parliament. Think again. The government announces a hike in the minimum wage to please its voter base. A noble aim, certainly. However, the chap who runs the local noodle shop now has to pay his staff more. So what does he do? The 40-baht bowl becomes 45. The farmer, encouraged by new agricultural subsidies, gets a better price for his rice. Good for him. However, that rice ends up in your bowl, which is now 45 baht. The government launches a massive tourism campaign. Success. Hordes of visitors descend. The price of a room in your favourite escape in Chiang Mai doubles. Your quiet little slice of paradise is now on Instagram. You see, it is a ripple effect. A political stone dropped in a pond in Bangkok, and the waves eventually lap at your wallet in Ubon Ratchathani. Then there is the social fabric. This is a subtle one. The government's attitude towards foreigners trickles down into daily life. When the official tone is welcoming, you feel it. The smiles are warmer, the interactions easier. Nevertheless, when there is a nationalist sentiment brewing, when politicians start talking about protecting Thainess from outside influences, you can feel a slight chill. Nothing overt, mind you. No one is going to be rude to you. However, you might get a few more curious stares. The woman at the market might be a little less chatty. It becomes a tad harder to feel like you are integrating, and a tad easier to feel like you are just tolerated. I remember once, during a particularly tense political period, I was in the local Tesco's. I went to buy a bottle of Samsung rum. The young cashier looked at me, looked back at the rum, and then called over her supervisor. They had a hushed conversation. I thought, blimey, have they banned foreigners from buying rum? Is this the new policy? Turns out she was just new and could not find the barcode. Nevertheless, for a full minute, I was convinced my Friday night was being dictated by a political coup. That is what it does to you. It makes you paranoid. Nevertheless, here is the thing, the conclusion to my rumbling tale. However grumpy I sound, and I have a constitutional right to be grumpy, the key to all this is not to worry, but to be aware. You cannot change the weather, but you can carry an umbrella. You cannot change Thai politics, but you can learn its rhythms. Stay informed. Read the local news. Talk to your Thai friends, not to debate, but to listen. Understand that the rules of the game can change, and your job is to be adaptable. Keep your paperwork in order. Have a financial buffer for when the price of essentials creeps up. Moreover, most importantly, do not take it personally. It is not about you. It is about the magnificent, complex, frustrated and beautiful organism that is Thailand. It has its own immune system, and it sometimes reacts to outside bodies. That is its right. Living here is a privilege, not a right. Remember that and you will be fine. It keeps you humble. It keeps you on your toes. What's more, frankly, it is a damn sight more interesting than watching the rain fall on a bungalow in High Cliff on Sea. So, if you're thinking of coming, or you are already here and feeling a bit buffeted by the winds of change, take heart. Adaptability is the greatest skill an expat can possess. That and a well-stocked fridge. If you have your own tales from the front lines of expat life, a visa horror story, or a moment when Thai politics suddenly became very real, do share it in the comments below. Let us compare notes. On top of that, if you found this video even remotely useful, do give it a like and subscribe for more unsolicited advice from a grumpy old git. Now, if you would excuse me, all this talking about politics has made me thirsty. Furthermore, I have got a date with that bottle of Samsung. Cheers and goodbye.